Hello, everybody, and welcome into another episode of Prospect Corner here at the Hockey Writers. I'm your host, Matthew Zator, and as always, got Dayton Reimer and Peter Baracchini here. Also got a couple guests coming on the show, and usually when we have guests, we're doing a mock draft. So I got Lukas Bernasiewicz and Justin Giampietro here. Both have been on the show. I don't know, Justin, you haven't been on Prospect Corner, but he's been around. He's been on other shows as well. So, Justin, how's it going?
I'm great. It's a good time of year. As you can tell, I have a vested interest in this draft with the Flyers being in it. It's not a great spot at 6. I was hoping they'd be top 4 at least, but I'm still very excited for this time of year.
For sure. And there are some new teams in the top 16 too, which some usual playoff teams that are in here that we don't usually see. So it's going to be interesting to see. And Lukas, how's it going?
Can't complain. Like Peter, us in Toronto aren't doing so hot right now. Kind of accepting our fates, but like Justin said, this is always this. I think this actually is my favorite time of year when the third round, final round, preparing for the draft, preparing for free agency. It actually is my favorite time of year because I think it's the most news oriented time of the hockey season.
Yeah, definitely. You got the draft, and then of course, right after it is free agency. So lots of stuff happening within a couple weeks, and lots of fun here for prospects going through the draft. So it's mock draft season. We always love doing these, and this is our first one. First one with not just us. We've done a couple already with just Peter and Dayton, but we're going to be doing a top 16 today. And then we'll do a full first round with, I don't know if you guys could join again. And we're going to have a few other people maybe as well to do a full 32. But we're going to do the 16. And we did a randomizer. And Peter, you got the first overall pick. And that belongs to the New York Islanders this year, which is a different thing. We're not having the Blackhawks or the San Jose Sharks, the normal ones. But the Islanders won the lottery, so they're first overall. So, Peter, who is first overall this year?
Yeah, with the New York Islanders, they are proud to select from the Erie Otters, Matthew Schaefer. I mean, this is kind of a no-brainer. I get Michael Misa had a good run. He pushed hard. It kind of feels like a 1A, 1B situation, and the Islanders could go either way. But it's hard to pass on the upside of a defender, the top-pairing defender that, Matthew Schaefer brings to the table. He's got the poise. He's got the mobility. He's got the smarts on the back end. Basically a do-it-all defender in any situation. I get there's probably some reservations about his health. I know he missed the majority of the season, but when he was healthy, even when he came back from mono at the start after a strong Kalinka Gretzky, he was fantastic. And I know it's a very small sample, but that small sample was enough to get everybody on board and say that he is well worth the top prospect or the number 1 selection label for this draft class. So the Islanders could use a little bit of everything at this point. They are a weak draft pipeline, but Matthew Schaefer definitely improves them tremendously and gives them a little bit of boost on the back end. So yeah, kind of a no-brainer, like I said before. So Schaefer at number 1 makes sense for the Islanders.
For sure. We were talking about who they could pick. And in this one, at least, Matthew Schaefer is going to the Islanders. And we'll see if that actually happens when the draft actually goes. Second overall, the former first overall pick that had this last year, the San Jose Sharks going second overall. And Lukas, you're the Sharks GM for today. Who is going second overall?
Well, Peter mentioned 1A, 1B, and Mike Rear and the San Jose Sharks in this situation are going to take Michael Misa, the Saginaw Spirit. There's everything that's been said about Michael Misa over the last 3 years. Like, there's nothing more you can say. Like, you don't become an exceptional status player for no reason. He's learned so much over his time in Saginaw. Last year he took on a role of being a third line winger, which was not his role and was not his position growing up. And then he comes in this year for the first line center spot and scores 134 points. The most that an OHL player has scored since the late 2000s with Patrick Kane when he was on the London Knights. dynamic player, incredible shot, incredible offensive instincts. And he would fit in perfectly on the Sharks, on that really, really good young core that I think the Sharks are building right now. And I think that adding Misa into that might be him and Macklin Celebrity and Michael Misa together as your 1-2 down the middle, whatever you want to put them in. That's a really good tandem for the next couple of years.
Yeah, well, we always talk about center depth, and you need at least two, I think, elite centermen. And I mean, ideally 3. You want, so most teams don't have that, but at least 2. And Misa and Celebrini, that's a pretty good 1-2 punch. If they can, if Misa hits his potential, which I'm sure he'll at least touch that. So that's a great pick for the Sharks. I wouldn't be surprised that's how it goes. All right, Dayton, Chicago Blackhawks, 3rd overall. We've got a lot of good players still on the board with the first 2 off the board. So, Dayton, who are the Blackhawks picking?
Yeah, this is kind of where the draft opens up. So I think the Blackhawks will take the winger from the Brampton Steelheads, Porter Martone. Maybe a little higher than some project him to go, but everyone's kind of in the same ballpark when you get after the first 2 guys. The Blackhawks could really use some strong wingers. They've got great center depth with obviously Bedard, but Frank Nazar and Oliver Moore. Actually, Rasu could also be thrown into that group. It's a really good center crop. They just don't have as many strong wingers. And honestly could use some defense too, but that's you're not taking a defenseman 3rd overall this year, especially after Levshunov last year. So I think Martone is the best fit and maybe not the best prospect, but close enough.
Yeah, I mean, Porter Martone, he was great in the OHL too this season. So, I mean, the OHL has got a lot of great prospects in this draft. I mean, WHL too. Porter Martone going 3rd overall. I don't know if it's that big of a reach. I mean, he's going to probably go in this range. But now that leaves the Utah Mammoth, their newly named Utah Mammoth, and Justin, who are, I guess, their first pick as the Mammoth. Who are they going with?
I have thought about it, and I think that Caleb Desnoyers is the best option for Utah here. This is a big pick for them because, they jump up 10 spots. This is kind of the last time that they're going to be able to pick this high, you would hope, because they almost made the playoffs last year. And I think they could use that extra star, especially down the middle. And Desnoyers, a 1-2 punch of Cooley and Desnoyers, I think that would be incredible. And with him, I think he's maybe the smartest player in this draft class. That's how I view it. And he's an awesome playmaker, and he has only gotten better as the year has gone on. In the playoffs, he is putting up numbers that we haven't seen since McKinnon and Drouin back in 2013 in Halifax in the QMJHL. He has 30 points as of now in 16 games, 21 assists. Again, these are numbers that we do not see. He has been awesome, and he is a really, really good creator. His two-way game gets a lot of praise, I think. I'm not as high on it personally. I think he has the upside to be a really star creator in the NHL, and if he makes it. And also, he's a very good play driver, and he can drive his own line if you need him to. So you can put Cooley with Gunther and Keller on that top line and theoretically kind of leave Desnoyers to do his own thing. And that can work. I think that can work. And that is a really strong team that you can roll with and maybe even contend with as it is. Because, again, they made a lot of big strides this year, and they're a young team, only going to get better, I think. And this would be a great pick.
Yeah, Desnoyers is really, again, he's probably going to go in this area. And the thing is you say Utah is they were pretty close to the playoffs this year. Too. So, I mean, they're on their way, and just keep adding these prospects and getting him at this point, I think really strengthens that depth, that, again, the center depth that you always need. And we'll see if he goes here too. All right. back to you, Peter. Nashville Predators on the clock at 5th overall. Who are the Predators getting here? I mean, I don't think anyone anticipated them being at this point with all the moves that they made in the offseason last season, being a 5th overall pick. But who are they getting here?
Kind of feels like the next few teams are probably going to be in dire need of a center. And given how the Predators' depth up the middle really isn't that strong. I mean, they do have David Edstrom and Jordan Frasca as, their top prospects. I think that Edstrom has a little bit more upside, but it's kind of hard to pass on the IQ and the skill that James Higgins brings. I don't think he should be falling any further past number 5. If he does, that's a big mistake. I get he doesn't have the 6'1", 6'2" frame with like around 185, 190 pounds that you want in a center prospect, but just the IQ and the ability to create opportunities, to be very deceptive with his playmaking, drawing opponents in, opening space up for his teammates. He does it all in the offensive zone. I think the one drawback is, and even when I wrote his profile, he could be a little bit aggressive in forcing plays when there's nothing there. I think that'll come a time where those habits can be broken, but it's hard to not overlook that skill that he brings, the dynamicism that he brings. Even when he crashes the net too, he's a play facilitator. Everything wants to run through him. He's not afraid of finishing plays off as well. He wants to be at the forefront of everything that's happening. And I feel like the Predators definitely need a player like that in their system. They don't have that up front, and getting Higgins as that, prototypical top line at war second line center in their system would do a lot of wonders for them.
Yeah, Hagen's dropping to 5. I mean, he was in conversation of the 1st overall pick as well, but lots of players have kind of pushed their way into that conversation more. Hagen's dropping to 5. Predators getting him there. That's a pretty good pick. So, that I think will really strengthen their forward group in the future, and probably not too distant future too. All right, Lucas, Philadelphia Flyers. We'll see if Justin approves of this pick. Who is going to Philadelphia?
I was about to say my pick will be. I'll just be looking at Justin's reaction, but just looking. We were talking about center depth, and I think that even though they took Jet Luchenko last year, I think he still needs some more time to develop. But adding to the center depth, we'll go Anton Frundell from Djurgården of the Hockey Allsvenskan League in the J20 National. Adding to the center depth, and Frundell has been a front runner for top 5 and top 7 all year long. Skilled player, like what I've seen, and I think that like everyone was saying, adding center depth is really important in this draft. There's just a lot of great options available at that position, especially in the top 10. So adding that for Philadelphia, I think is a good pick for them.
Yeah, Frundell's a great two-way center too. So I mean, you're getting a guy that's gonna. I mean, the Flyers that they do like those types. I mean, he's not a typical Flyers pick, but I think he could probably fit down the line too. I mean, we're not really sure where the Flyers are going direction-wise with the new coach now with Rick Tocchet. We'll see where it kind of goes. But it's a good pick for the Flyers. All right, Dayton, Boston Bruins. Again, another team that really wasn't supposed to be here a lot of the fans didn't think so, especially that last, 2 years ago, they had the record for regular season, but they got a pretty good pick here. We'll see if they screw it up, but who are they picking? At least in this mock draft.
Wow, pressure here. Goodness.
Last time they had one around here, they didn't do very well.
No, that's true. That's true. I think there's a lot of ways they could go. They don't have the greatest prospect pool coming into this. There's a few interesting names. Fraser Minton, recent acquisition. Matthew Patra, Marat Kuznetsov. There's some interesting guys there. Jacob Lauko, John Beecher. But are any of those like top line guys? I think that's probably up for debate, at least for most of them. Second liners, sure. So if they could snag a top line guy with this pick, I think they need to. And for me, that guy could be Brady Martin. He had a huge under 18s. Looked really, really good. Looks like a guy who can kind of do a little bit of everything really well. He's physical. He can play the puck really well. and it's sort of a build from his season too. He really started to ramp up and jump up on a lot of people's radars. So this might be seen as a bit of a reach, but I think a lot of people now consider him a top 10 pick, easy, and the Bruins could maybe get a little bit of that big bad Bruin reputation back with someone like Martin as their new top prospect.
I mean, he had a great under 18s, right? And he really kind of jumped onto the radar. We talked about him on last episode of standouts from the under 18s, and he was definitely one of them. So I could see him maybe going here. It may be a bit high, but I mean, the Bruins, he is a Bruins type player, like you said. So we'll see if he does go there. All right, 8th overall, Justin, Seattle Kraken. We've talked about this organization a lot with their prospect pools really strong, and they have a chance to add another great prospect in this draft. So, who are they going with at 8th overall?
You know, I thought about Merca here with their defense and how big it is, but with Victor Eklund on the board, I love him as a prospect, and I think he could really add to their team. He's a hard worker, even though he's like a kind of a smaller guy, super skilled. He works hard, and I think Seattle would really appreciate that, and Ron Francis would appreciate that. Again, their pool is very strong, and they got some smaller skill guys in there, but this is a player who, again, adds another star, a potential star, to your lineup, and I think their defense is solid as is. I think they've done a good job with that, and really just getting as many stars as you can get would be big for them to take steps forward in their process right now. They're kind of a borderline-ish playoff team, and adding a talent like that down the line, I think could be huge. I think he could be a first-line guy, Eklund. I think he's pretty smart. He's skilled, and again, he has that work ethic that I think coaches will absolutely love at the NHL level.
Yeah, and Eklund is a guy that talking about Swedes between Frundell and Eklund, they've kind of been swapping back and forth of who's going to go where, and Frundell's probably going to go ahead of Eklund, but yeah, Eklund's still going to be a really good NHLer at some point. So the Kraken adding him would probably be really good. I mean, again, they've got so many great prospects. Adding anyone at this point will strengthen what they already got. So yeah, the Kraken getting him here would be really good hit there. All right, Buffalo Sabres. They're going to be adding another top 10 pick here, and one of these days, all their prospects will be able to hit in the NHL and actually have them make the playoffs. But we'll see when that happens. So, Peter, who are they adding to their already really strong pool of prospects?
See, this was really tough. And if Seattle didn't take Victor Eklund, I would have, because they could have used a little bit more on the left side of their pool. I mean, obviously, they already got a wealth of talent in JJ Peterka, Jack Quinn, Yuri Kulik. I mean, they're pretty much set up front. I think best player available would have been William Eklund, but there's still another best available player. That's Jackson Smith. I think the defense is still that one weak spot on the Sabres, and I get they need a right-handed shot, and that could have been Radim Merca, but I feel like there's a lot more upside with Jackson Smith. I felt like during that U18 tournament, I mean, both Smith and Merca had their ups and their downs, but I thought that Smith did a better job at driving play. And I think they need someone like that on the backhand with his mobility, with his ability to generate chances in the offensive zone. He's not afraid to get into the open lanes and shoot right now. I think that was the one thing I wanted to see him do, was shoot more. And lo and behold, he was a shooting threat for Team Canada at that U18 tournament. Really dynamic playmaker, strong transitional player, really physical defensively. Again, there's some factors to his defensive game where he needs to work better under pressure and needs to make better reads with his pinches and everything like that. But I do like the upside that Smith brings, and I get their credit on that left side, but you could probably maybe even use him as a chip down the line. But I would still think that adding another defender like him to the fold would benefit them greatly.
Yeah, I mean, their forward group is pretty good. I mean, like you said, they had a lot of young pieces already there and then guys coming up. But defense, I mean, they got some really strong guys there too. But, to round it out, I think they still need something. So, yeah, he would be a pretty good addition. All right, let's round out the top 10. Anaheim Ducks, again, adding another really good prospect to their already strong pool. So, Lukas, who are they picking at 10th overall?
So, heading into this, waiting for my turn, I'm thinking, do I go, overanalyze it? Do I think this? And you know what always happens? Just take the best player available, Jake O'Brien from the Brantford Bulldogs. Great offensive instincts, playmaker, 66 assists, 98 points. And I always say that it means something. And I think that it's a very, very big thing retrospectively when a draft eligible player is playing top power play units with drafted players. Like Jake O'Brien was playing top power play with Nick Lardis and with Patrick Thomas and with Adam Juracek. Like, he was one of the driving offensive forces of that team that probably should have gone farther had Nick Lardis not got injured and ran into a really, really good Oshawa team that's just more experienced than they are. But the team ended up winning the East. And he was a big part of that. So Jake O'Brien, best player available, adds to the Ducks roster of highly talented offensive players. I was thinking of going defense, but you know what? Don't overanalyze it. Best player available, Jake O'Brien.
Yeah, he's definitely the best player available right now. And he again, another great player in the OHL that's had a really good season. So definitely in conversation here. And the Ducks, they really, I mean, they're pretty strong in all positions. So just adding another guy that would be able to come into the NHL at some point. Again, this is another team that'll eventually have everyone together and they'll be making the playoffs all the time, but still really young group in Anaheim. All right, Pittsburgh, 11th overall. I mean, they've missed the playoffs the last 2 seasons, but they still have a really weak prospect pool. They need help everywhere. So, Dayton, who are they going with at 11th overall?
Yeah, I think I'm going to follow Lucas's strategy here with the Anaheim Ducks and just go with the best guy available. And to me, that's Roger McQueen. He is a big, powerful center. He plays physically. He's got great hands. He makes things happen. There is the injury concerns, of course. But we've just seen Caden Lindstrom return to the Medicine Hat Tigers. He looks great, right? He's making an impact immediately in the finals. So there is hope that even with a terrible injury, McQueen can still bounce back and be an effective player. And that's what the Penguins need. They need somebody who can be effective and a potential top 6 guy. They, like you said, they have such a weak prospect pool right now. There's a few guys that jump out, Rucker McGroarty, Owen Pickering. But beyond that, do they have any guys who could be really challenging for a top 6 role, at least in the future, in the next several seasons? Like that. It's tough to know if any of those guys really could. So just adding another one of those top forwards, they really need help in that area. McQueen offers the highest potential. There's a little bit of a risk, but that's kind of where Pittsburgh is right now. They got to take some big swings and hope they pan out.
I mean, yeah, they're going to have to start to think. I mean, not just start. They should be already start thinking about without Crosby and Malkin, because those 2 guys, they're nearing retirement. And then you're missing really 2 top centers. And who do you have to replace them right now? There's no one. So they're going to have to figure out their forward group soon. And hopefully some of these prospects can do it. And McQueen definitely has a really high upside. And hopefully the injuries don't derail him further. But yeah, a really good pick for the Penguins if they do end up picking him here. All right, let's move to 12th overall, New York Rangers. And Justin, we've got your, I guess, Metropolitan Division rival there for the Philadelphia Flyers. But who are the Rangers picking?
Those were a pretty devastating last 2 picks for me. I really wanted center for this team. Those are the 2 guys I had circled, but I guess I have to pivot now. I'm going to go with who I think is one of the most talented players on the board left, and who adds a nice level of grit to a Rangers team that likes it. Carter Bear. He got hurt at the end of the year, and that is probably going to cause some of his stock to fall. A playoff run would have been nice for him, to continue his trajectory, because he started off very, very hot. He got a little bit cooler as time went on, but either way, very productive. He's skilled, and I think he's got that top 6 upside that the Rangers could really use. And I think he's more of a winger than a center, and the Rangers probably want a center at this spot. And if they don't get it, that would kind of sting for them, I think. That doesn't mean they'll definitely draft one, but again, I'm just going to pivot here and take who I think is going to really help their team. I think he could, again, go into that top 6, be effective two-way guy, and really kind of like be a mean player for them. And that would be really nice to have that blend of meanness and also skill.
One thing about the Rangers, again, we're not really sure their direction. They're changing coaches again. And lots of big contracts on their books. They got some question marks, and their prospect pool it's not the worst, but it's not the best. So, I mean, they got some interesting guys in there that are coming up, but yeah, I think Carter Bear would be a pretty good pick for them at this point too. I mean, obviously they'd probably want some of the centers that have already gone off the board, but I think still a good pick. Right, Detroit Red Wings, 13th overall. Peter, I mean, the Red Wings, again, another team that didn't want to be in the lottery discussion here, but they are, again. Who are they picking here?
Yeah, and they've made some great picks in the past too, Axel Sandin Pellikka, Michael Brandsegg-Nygaard. I mean, they have players in every single position. I think they're just maybe a little bit weak up the middle, just a tad, not a whole lot. And they've gone to the WHL before. They're going back here right now, and I think they take Cole Reshny with that 13th overall pick. Obviously, you got the upside in Nate Danielson, but he may not have that high offensive upside that Reshny has. He's a little bit more dynamic, and with his play at that U18 tournament, his play down the stretch where he was well above a point per game, I think the last few months really did himself a lot of favors in boosting his draft stock and bumping himself back up into that top 15 spot where he probably was there at the beginning of the season. And I know he'll probably finish there again. Again, just so dynamic, so creative, so offensively driven. He's a very cerebral playmaker when he has the puck on his stick. And, he had, again, he's known as a playmaker, but he was a goal per game player for Canada at that U18 tournament where they won gold. Known as a facilitator, but I think maybe what we saw in that tournament helps him out with his goal scoring ability. I think he could really be a solid, playmaking center, but could still put up at least maybe 25, 30 goals potentially at the next level. Maybe he's still going to have those, hovering around 50 to 60 assists. But, the potential is there. He's very driven. He's very competitive. He's basically doing it all. And I think that would be a great pick for the Red Wings.
Red Wings have a really strong prospect pool. We talked about a couple of weak ones. They are really strong. Mm-hmm. I mean, they've got guys that are coming, that are ready in the NHL. Marco Kasper, Nate Danielson was in the AHL for most of the season. And, he didn't have a great rookie season, but he was still pretty good. But he's not going to be a big point producer in the NHL anyway. I think he's going to end up being a really good second, maybe. I don't know about a first-line center, but, could have the potential for it. But, yeah, the Red Wings are still pretty good, and having, adding a guy like Reshny would be pretty good for them too. All right, moving to the Columbus Blue Jackets. Lucas, you've got their pick at the 14th overall. This is a team that has a great prospect pool as well. And they were pretty close to making the playoffs with a really good stretch at the end. Lots of great young players already there. Who are they adding?
Well, again, I got to be careful with this one because if I get a bad pick, Mark Scheig's going to be not thrilled with me today. But let's look at the Blue Jackets the past couple of drafts. We get Caden Lindstrom, dog, great player. Just talked about him killing it right now with Medicine Hat after an injury. Year before, we got Adam Fantilli, incredible player, doing really, really well in his second year. But the other thing that you're seeing is that they are a little weak on the defensive side. They just traded away David Juracek because of some, we'll call it stipulations in the organization. So to replace that, I think that, again, we're talking best player available. We're going with Radim Murta from Seattle of the WHL. 6'6", nearly 200 pounds, probably has to add on a little bit more weight, but exactly what any team needs. A big right-handed defenseman, stalwart, can move the puck. Just that's all you need with a defenseman. You don't need an incredible amount of goal scoring. You just need them to be sound, steady, and that's exactly what this guy would bring to any NHL team. Excuse me. And I think that's a pick that I would go for if I was the Columbus Blue Jackets.
Yeah, Merca, I mean, they got a guy, Eric Goodbranson, probably similar type player, maybe. Goodbranson is, of course, he was drafted, what? It was
20,
like...
What's 2010, 15 years ago?
Yeah, and he was drafted really high. Third overall. So, I mean, that he didn't pan out to be a caliber third overall pick, but he is still ended up being a pretty good defenseman. But yeah, Merca is we've talked about him on this show as well, that he probably will go in this range, because maybe even higher because of his size and mobility, but we'll see where he goes. But the Blue Jackets, so pretty good defenseman here. All right, Dayton, Vancouver Canucks, 15th overall, and I'll see if I like your pick. I already have a couple guys that I think should go here, but and they're all still on the board. So who is going to the Canucks?
Yeah, I hope we have some of the same names here. One thing that I've noticed about the Canucks is they have a pretty good young defense core. I don't know if they want to go target one of the guys who are up at this range, namely like a Keishon Aitchison. You know, that's just adding more to what they already have. They have a really good young defense. They need forwards. Like, they have very little forward depth, especially looking at some of their top guys who are coming in. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but after Atu Ratu and Nils Hoglander, there's not a lot of high-end potential in that system. So I think if you want to add a guy who can really boost the system, one of my favorites is Lyndon Lakovich. He has maybe some of the best hands, really, really smart guy, very good skater. He is 6'4". I see a lot of comments saying that he needs to add some grit and some physicality to his game. He's not an unphysical player. He doesn't shy away. He uses his size really well. He'll throw a hit when he needs to. He's always just doing it for a good reason. He never throws his weight around just because he can. He's using it to protect the puck. He's using it to regain possession. And so, yeah, he's not a gritty player, but I don't think he has to be a very, very effective player. Like, that's not, don't draft Lyndon Lakovich if you want to make him a power forward. That's not who he is. He is a finesse player, right? He's going to outdangle you because his reach is incredible, right? He's a 6'4" player. He's just bigger than you. And so I think that could be used really, really well, kind of like a Tage Thompson. There's a few other guys that, you know, if you want a really hard worker, would be really good options. But I think with the Canucks needing, you know, just some more top-end talent, Lakovich is their best bet.
He does have a lot of potential. I would, of course, Cameron Schmidt here. I like him.
He's really good too.
But I mean, and then you've got guys like Braden Coots. I really like him too.
Same.
And he really reminds me of Bo Horvat. He's a very similar type player, and same type of criticisms too. His skating isn't the best, but we know Horvat, what he ended up being. But like I wouldn't be against Lakovic going here as well. So I mean, I'd have a checkbox if he was. I'd be okay with it. All right, final pick of the top 16. And Justin, Montreal Canadiens, they did make the playoffs, but they got this pick. And they have another one after this one too, 17th overall as well. So they're going to get a couple really good guys here, again, to strengthen their already great prospect pool and young talent that they've got. So Who are the Canadiens picking?
Another one of my picks got snagged. I wanted Lankovic, but I think this isn't a reactionary pick, but Keishon Aitchison after, their playoff run, and there was a lot of talk about how they needed more grit. I think this drafting Aitchison would give them that. And I don't think he's just grit, like simply that. I think maybe that's the semi-misconception. I think he's a good player, and I think he can drive play actually surprisingly well. He put up good point totals, and I think this would be pretty good for their blue line. They could use another left shot guy. Keep stacking up that blue line. It's never a bad idea to do. I think they have a lot of skill already, and just rounding out that team and adding some good size, some good grit, and some good a guy who can really honestly be a top 4 player. I think that would be big for them. And with another pick after this, they can really do whatever they want. There's still a lot of talent on the board left, but Aitchison, I think, it would be justified to go in this top half of the first round.
And yeah, I think their defense, and they've got some great names there already, but I think that's probably where they go. They could go for another. Again, we talked about Cameron Schmidt, and they go for another undersized guy. They've hit on a couple already, really good smaller guys. But do you just add another one that's probably already you have? Maybe not, but I mean, Keishon Aitchison would really add to their defense for sure. All right, there's our top 16, and before we end the show, and I'll start with you, Dayton. Are you surprised by any of these picks in our top 16? Our first mock draft with an expanded lineup here. Who are surprises here? And then who's your best forward or defenseman or whoever available that should go next?
I guess biggest surprise for me was Smith at 9. You caught me off guard with that, Peter. He is a fantastic dynamic defenseman, really pushes the play. He's just got some, concerns with his decision making and his hockey sense. And I think that was also evident at the under 18s. So I wonder if that takes him out of the running as the second best defenseman, because for most of the season, he's kind of been right there. He's not in the Schaefer territory, but next best guy, let's go with Smith. He had a really good season with Tri-City and looked really good in most of the other places he was at. Just some concerns started popping up near the end of the season there. My next best guy, we talked about him already, Braden Coots. He is my favorite prospect of the draft. I have not been shy of saying that in other podcast episodes here. He works hard and does everything that you need a forward to do. There was concerns about his offensive upside. And then at the under 18s, he led Canada in scoring with 6 goals and 12 points. I don't think there's a concern about his offensive upside anymore. He can make things happen when he is surrounded by good players. And when he's not surrounded by good players, he still makes things happen, right? He was still a point per game player on a pretty rough looking Seattle Thunderbirds team. And captain on both Canada and Seattle as a 18-year-old, 17-year-old. Like, he is excellent, and I hope he goes in the top 16. He definitely deserves to, but if he doesn't, I know a great team who could really use him at 21. So,
and we know who that. Lukas, what about you for any surprises in the top 16 and best players that haven't been picked yet?
I was a little surprised that Brady Martin went in the top 10. This is a player that I absolutely love and think is going to be a stud in the NHL. Top 10 is a little surprising, but Dayton made some great points how he is such a Bruins player and plays that style so well that I definitely could see it. But it was a little surprising to see him in the top 10. I was also a little surprised to see Dane Wyatt in the top 5, because especially over Hagens, because Hagens had been very much in the Hagens right now is being talked about as a number 1 because he has the Islanders connection or the Long Island connection. Again, we'll see. That was so little surprised with both. And a player, I'm surprised no one has mentioned him that he wasn't taken or should be taken next. Malcolm Spence of the Erie Otters, Matthew Schaefer's teammate. This is a player that I believe any team would love this player on their team because he is exactly the player that you want in the playoffs. He gets in people's faces. He hits. He stands up for guys. He gets on people's nerves. He's exactly what anyone would want on a playoff team. So that's the guy that I think would go in 17, 18, something like that. That's a player that I think would go relatively shortly after 16.
For sure, if not in the 16. We'll see where he goes. Justin, what about you? Surprises?
Not really, honestly. I haven't really done mock drafts, but I've been kind of looking at it and seeing what teams might do. I wasn't really surprised by anything. I actually really liked the Brady Martin pick at 7. At this point, it wouldn't really surprise me at all because he's honestly earned it. He's earned a top 10 pick to me with how he's played down the stretch. And even in the regular season, toward the end of the regular season, he was an over 100 point producer per 68 games, whatever. So yeah, I think he's risen his stock enough to be in that range. And for a player who I think should go next, my best player available isn't Braden Coots, but he's very much in that conversation. I would probably take him if I was Montreal because at 17, he had an awesome U18, and I think he's going to be a great player. But a guy that I'm really looking at is Ben Kindle. I just think that, first of all, the production is there. He scored a ton of points, and I think the process is there too. I liked what I saw of that. And even though he's a smaller guy, and I'm not sure he's going to be a center at the NHL level, I think he's probably more of a winger. I'm willing to bet on that upside any day of the week when you're putting up those numbers and the process looks good. And I'm going to take a risk on it if I'm somebody. Borderline in terms of talent, to me, he's almost in that top 10 range, honestly. I really like him as a player, and I think whoever gets him, maybe I would think around the 20s, honestly, is going to get a great player.
And that's a playoff team that would be getting him there. Well, maybe not. I mean, there are some these picks being moved around. Lots of teams with multiple first-round picks this time. So we'll see where he goes. All right, finishing with you, Peter. What about you for surprises and best player available right now?
Yeah, I think the pleasant surprises, again, Desnoyers and Martin. I think Martin, again, he kind of fits that bill as a prototypical Bruins pick right now. And again, strong finish down the regular season, strong U18s. That's good. And it's not just one tournament or that one tournament that's playing a factor. It's just play in league play as well. That's making a big difference. And Desnoyers too. I mean, 30 points in 16 games in the playoffs right now, and they seem to be in command and in control of the QMJHL final. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, again, maybe his offensive skills are a little bit quiet, but when he's without the puck, when he doesn't have the puck, he's doing the little things right, and teams absolutely love that. And I agree. I think it's a fantastic pick for the Mammoth, where you kind of have that dynamicism between a little bit more offensive upside with Cooley, but a little bit more defensive play with Desnoyers. And if maybe Hagen's dropped a little bit there, maybe a little bit redundant with the skill. I don't know, but it just seems like a kind of a safe bet with Desnoyers. And it wouldn't surprise me if he does move up. Same with Martin. I think those are really good picks. Merca dropping down to 14, it doesn't surprise me because, again, kind of like Jackson Smith, a little bit of some question marks as well with his overall play. I think he tried to do a little bit too much for Czechia at the U18, and it kind of affected his play overall. The thing is, I think Jackson Smith recovered a little bit better when he made a mistake, whereas Merca kind of didn't. But, right-handed shot, that's always going to be fantastic for any team because teams want that, handedness, right? As for, best available players. Yeah, I agree with Justin. Ben Kindle, I like his competitive edge. Again, depending where he plays, a center or wing, it doesn't matter because he's got that drive and he's forcing plays or forcing turnovers, and he's always in the right spot at the right time. Agree with Lucas, Malcolm Spence, that agitator, in your face kind of guy, can play in all situations and just, be an absolute menace on the forecheck. And I do see this as a good fit for Montreal. Justin Carbonneau. I mean, just look in their backyard, basically. Yeah. He's got the size. He's got some of the best hands and the creativity in this class as well. And I've just been completely impressed throughout the regular season. He was one of the top QNJHL, producers for, draft eligible players. Desnoyers being the other, and Bill Zonin, who I'm also very high on, being those. So like basically all those top 3 players, I think Zonin's being overlooked just a little bit. I think he can still move up into the top 20, but I think Justin Carbonneau can still push into that range of being, 14 to 18, basically. So, those are basically my top 3 best available. Some other players here and there, but I think you're going upside. I think those 3 definitely fit the bill.
Lots of great talent still available. The rest of the 32. I would, of course, there's some great play. Cam Schmidt. I really feel he's probably going to drop out of the first round, just like all these undersized guys. And maybe the Canucks can snag him in the second round. I don't know. We'll see. If he does end up going down there. They didn't do that with Logan Stankoven, so I don't know. We'll see where it all goes. But thanks, Dayton, Lucas, Peter, and Justin for coming on and doing this mock draft. And we'll do our full one later, closer to the draft, which usually after the combine, we do our full first round. And hopefully, Justin and Lucas, you can join us then. Mark usually adds his voice in with the mock in the first round too. So make sure to check out for that. We also got lots of great stuff on the hockeybears.com already with all of our prospect profiles, lots of features already out. We got I think all the position groups are covered from what I'm thinking right now. I think we're pretty close at least. And then lots of great other stuff going on prospect wise on the site, and lots more to come as the draft gets going. But until our next episode, we will see you next time.